We talked about this on the podcast. My general understanding is that America sells billions of dollars of soybeans to China every year. However, this year, China has refused to buy any as part of the ongoing trade war with Donald Trump. And in fact, China is now buying soybeans from Brazil and Argentina and other countries. And so American farmers are suddenly realizing, oh, fuck, we have all these soybeans we can't sell to anybody. And it's causing a crisis. And so they are going to require or ask for or need a bailout, which Trump will be likely to give them because he needs their political support. Farmers are a big voting bloc and they're traditionally Republican. And so it's a problem for sure. It's a problem. But I maybe there's more to the story. That's what I said was 30 seconds long. This is 14 minutes long. So let's see what they have in the latest How Money Works.
This month, farmers from across America have been raising the alarm that they are in deep manure. Record agriculture.
It's too loud.
Cultural debt, combined with disruptive trade wars, financial consolidation of farmland, inclement weather conditions, the gutting of federal programs, increased input costs, and low market prices are combining to make most of these businesses completely unviable. This is in addition to the problems that the industry isn't allowed to talk about too loudly.
Still too loud.
Like a lot of mysteriously cheap labor being a little bit harder to find right now. The number of agricultural bankruptcies has spiked this year. And now farmers are saying that they will probably need a bailout to keep
their... So we skipped over it. I mean, border closings and immigration raids have made it hard for farmers to find cheap labor. Makes sense. That does track. But I assume there's more to it than that. It's causing rising bankruptcies.
Essential industry afloat. Now, this wouldn't actually be the first time this has happened. Just 6 years ago, farmers got another bailout under very similar circumstances, which only accelerated the trend of farming becoming increasingly consolidated. Big farms get bigger assistance packages and can take bigger risks knowing there is a bigger chance they won't be allowed to fail.
Right.
But today, the conditions are worse.
By the way, we just love that, don't we, folks? We love a system that rewards the bigger failures and lets the smaller ones fail, to create a system where you have to get increasingly consolidated to make sure that when you fuck up, the government has to bail you out or it's systemic to the entire economy. People love that. People love that. Folks, it's the best thing. It's one of the best fucking systems. And we hate Linacon, don't we, folks? We don't like when someone breaks that up and tries to create competition. We think it's lame. We think it's whack, dude. Nasty woman, Lena Khan. We've been saying this. Yes, indeed. Less companies, less drama. Somebody who wants a monopoly in every industry because he doesn't like the drama. I don't want Pepsi and Coke fighting. Okay, it's drama. Let's just calm down and have one soda company locked in. That's good. I like that.
Nothing has been decided, and the clock is ticking. Moral hazard has well and truly taken hold in another vital industry, and major players know it. But that still doesn't make the situation any less dangerous because, well, we can't eat the moral high ground.
Rising concerns from our state's farmers as free trade economists say tariffs threaten to drive up their costs.
I'm a sixth-generation farmer from Newport, and we made a decision to go out this year in the spring.
We're going to lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
As the fallout from the Trump administration tariffs continues, there is talk that the administration might fund a new bailout for American farmers.
Even during good times with minimal disruptions...
You know what we should do? Because tariffs aren't making enough money to pay off any amount of our deficit. The deficit's massive and the tariff income is relatively small. But if we were to tariff all goods in America, we could probably make enough money to bail out the people that got burned by the tariffs. So we could have a net no gain. Everything gets less competitive and weaker, but we can put the money back to... That's great. That's such a perfect plan.
Farming is a difficult business with a lot of overhead and very thin margins. Industry groups have been pointing out that most agriculture in America is still done on family farms, which is technically true, but also a convenient lie at the same time. According to the latest data released from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, 86% of farms operating in America were classified as small family farms.
Okay.
However, this number includes so many insignificant examples that it's basically insignificant itself. According to the USDA's reporting criteria, a small family farm is an operation that generates less than $350,000 in a year, but makes more than $1,000 a year.
Okay.
The hurdle to classify as a farm is so low that things like Christmas tree lots and even large vegetable gardens at farm
A Christmas tree lot being counted as a family farm is very good. You know what? No, you guys are saying the Kent farm from Smallville, it would not qualify because he doesn't make $1,000 a year. Jonathan Kent can't run a business to save his goddamn life. Jonathan Kent seems to pull in fucking 18 cents and has to make it work.
Farmers markets get included in the total count of small family farms. All of these small farms collectively only account for 41% of total land area and 17% of total production. The vast majority of agricultural production is actually done
by the way, this is all that matters. This one on the right, we're kind of covering it. Even if all of these were real family farms, saying that the total number of farms has a lot of family farms doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, there could be 1 million of them, but if 90% of the food and the value is coming to the few, then that is what we have the majority of. What a stupid thing. The number is bigger. Yeah, of course there's going to be more small family farms than big ones, but they should have 86% of the value. They should have every 100% of the value of production.
Large-scale family farms that are multi-million-dollar operations, the same as any other large family-owned corporation. There's also a rapidly growing share of institutional farms owned by investment firms. The difference between this composition and this composition is actually part of what makes farmland such an attractive investment class.
Oh yeah.
Now, this is really important to remember when seeing news about town halls full of struggling small-time farmers asking for assistance. It's not that their struggles are not real. They are getting crushed. But it's just that the imagery of lots of small working-class farmers going out of business is a really effective marketing tool for industry lobbying.
If there's no emergency funding this year, there will be...
I got an idea, folks, because I'm trying to get a bailout for streamers because we've been working too fucking hard. All right, I'm sorry. Me and Kai and Ludwig, we've all been putting in too many fucking hours and we want a bailout. So if you're in my chat and you look like this, you got to look very like South, middle of the road Republican. You got to look kind of like all American. Yeehaw. If you look like this, I need you for a PR stunt. Okay? I need like 50 of you so we can march on Washington or on an elected official and be like, bail out our streamers. You got to bail out our streamers. I'm a hardworking American. I want to watch a Big A clip after work. And he's putting in too many hours. And so we're gonna put this together, okay? And we're gonna storm the Capitol. Probably. It depends. It depends, bro.
1 out of 3 farmers will file bankruptcy.
People don't care if Old McDonald's Incorporated Real Estate Investment Trust has a bad quarter. But those same companies are banking on the fact that politicians do care about the optics of thousands of family farms closing down. And since that's technically the majority of the industry, the big players can always count on government support coming through.
Right.
Ultimately, most of the benefits of that lobbying will flow to the largest producers, which are not the same people currently voicing their concerns in town hall meetings. If anything, the industry giants will probably use this financial relief to further consolidate this industry, making it even harder on these guys.
Great.
Oh, and of course, some of you are probably already pointing out that even these small family farmers are not faultless either, and we will get to that later. But first, it's important to understand the 4 major problems all hitting agriculture at the same time right now.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say that, okay, I first of all, I fully agree this is what's happening, and I agree that this is negative and everyone's pissed about it. And I agree that government bailouts that primarily use small family farms as the image and then flow to the large private equity owned farms, I get bad. However, at the end of the day, you still have to make food in the country. And so they are they're probably going to require a bailout only because the tariffs have been so stupid. If they go under, even if it's the big factory farms, if they go under, it's still really bad because we have to produce the food. It's just we cannot let everything fail and then import it. The problems of the bailout are a very bad moral hazard and it's bad. I don't support the bailout at all, but I also understand that we've created the conditions where they're already going to fail. They're going to fail because of the situation that we're in.
Is probably what you are already thinking. The trade wars. Every year, around 20% of the food we grow is sold abroad to markets mainly in Canada, Mexico, and China, the same countries that we have been pushing hard with trade wars. America is the world leader in agricultural trade, and countries are highly dependent
Dude, isn't it so badass?
sold abroad to markets mainly in Canada, Mexico, and China.
Isn't it so cool that we said, let's not just have a trade war with one of these countries. Let's have a trade war with all three and the rest of the world simultaneously. That way, nobody can be on our side. That way, we have nobody. I think that's so based. It's so badass, dude. What a smart idea. Instead of picking your battles and trying to focus on the one that matters the most, just going in all directions so that nobody at all wants to have good, favorable terms of trade with you. I think that's fucking badass. I think that's so sick.
The same countries
It's like
that we have
Aura.
been pushing hard with trade wars. America is the world leader in agricultural trade, and countries are highly dependent on these exports to feed their own agriculture, but more importantly, their own people. There is a lot of bluff and bluster when it comes to hammering out the exact details of these trade agreements, and honestly, a lot of it is just political theater. Behind the scenes, they are willing to go back and forth on things like consumer goods and cars to secure a good photo op. But if there is one thing that these governments absolutely will not fuck around with, it is making sure their people get fed.
Yeah.
There is an old adage that even the most stable empires are only 3 missed meals away from chaos, and most world leaders understand this deeply. If they want to keep their jobs...
Bro, here's the modern day version, dude. The most stable empires are only one TikTok outage from revolution. Okay? In 2025, if social media goes down for a week, things are on fire, bro. Let alone if they're eating. I mean, we can always eat Feastables. That's always going to be available. Mr. Beast provides. But if we can't watch Mr. Beast videos, it's over.
Away from chaos. And most world leaders understand this deeply. If they want to keep their jobs, and probably their heads, they need to make sure that their people are fed. Because of this, almost every country that is reliant on food imports from America has made major investments into finding alternatives as quickly as possible. China is typically the largest international purchaser of American soybeans, which it uses primarily for domestic livestock feed. But this year, it hasn't purchased a single bean. Instead, it's strengthened trade ties with Brazil, and it's accepting the slightly higher price of their soy over ours. What makes this especially hard is that harvests need to be planned months in advance, and global trade dynamics are changing faster than fields can grow. Now, this would make things incredibly difficult for commodity farmers at the best of times, but America actually has a lot of programs in place to ensure some level of stability in this market, or at least, we did. A report by Bloomberg Law found that the biggest cause of the current wave of bankruptcies is frozen government programs that farmers were counting on for their continued operations. In total, dozens of programs have been frozen, with individual operators reporting that they already made the investments to qualify for these grants, and only after the work was done are they being taken away.
Great.
According to the industry group NSEC, over 30,000 contracts in total are being withheld indefinitely. This alone is not great, but it gets worse. This wasn't a cost-cutting measure. Government funding for farms is actually increasing with a range of new incentives.
It's so annoying. So annoying. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed because I'm actually so easy. I'm such an easy grader. If you do some fucking stupid shit and you cut a program that is absolutely invaluable, but you're like helping reduce our absurd, obscene deficit, then I more than anyone will go, hey, you know what? This is really stupid, but at the very least, we're helping getting our finances in order. Our deficit is unsustainable. But what is happening, especially this administration, especially this time around, is that not only are we cutting things that worked, but we are spending more. The deficit is up. We've cut a million fucking things and the deficit is up. It's crazy. It's crazy to have no progress on either thing. I can't imagine. It's like such incompetence.
The only problem is those programs start next year. So in the meantime, the current market is just filtering out the smaller farms that can't wait that long. And of course, on top of that, there is still the elephant in the room that these current problems are exactly what a majority of these farmers voted for. So it's time to learn how money works to find out what's really behind America's homegrown farming crisis.
Okay.
This video is sponsored by BootDev, the platform I've been using lately to actually enjoy brushing up on my back percent off
Check out
the first year on the
BootDev!
annual plan. So a lot of people have been quick to point out that the current farming crisis might just be another example of people voting against their own best interests. The current administration didn't exactly hide their intentions to pursue tariffs and cut government programs during their election campaign. And yet, farming-dependent counties overwhelmingly...
I'll say this, though. Most people aren't as generous as me, I guess, but I don't blame them for thinking it would be different, but I blame them for sticking with it when it's not different. That's my thing. I do not blame you because first of all, politicians say a lot of shit. Trump says a lot of shit. I think most of these people thought Trump would be, first of all, a lot more like Trump term one, which is a lot more talk than action. Trump barely got anything done term one. He just cut taxes on the rich, barely didn't do much. I can totally see that. Plus, inflation hurt everybody, and they could have easily blamed that entirely on Joe Biden, which I don't think is fair, but he's part of it. And I could just see them voting the way they did. I don't blame anybody begrudgingly with that. But after the tariffs are becoming such a problem for your business, it's frustrating to me that they keep saying like we read an interview during Lemonade Stand with some of the farmers who were saying things like they really thought the tariffs would just be a bluff. The tariffs are just a negotiating tactic, and they still think that, some of them, and he's going to get rid of them. They still think the tariffs are going to be like temporary. They're just going to get, and like that is at this point pretty crazy. At this point, at this far along, like they might be higher or lower based on a negotiation, but there is going to be these global tariffs. Like that's now like a core part of his strategy that he's talking about so much. And it's frustrating to see people still not realize how bad this is getting for American export industries.
Supported them. So maybe they shouldn't exactly be shocked Pikachu in response to these problems. This is especially true for the third big challenge they are facing, which is that they are running out of workers. A report by the Economic Policy Institute found that 70% of all investigations into the agricultural industry detected violations in wage and hour laws. Labor-intensive farm work like hand harvesting is almost always conducted by contractors since they are only needed when there is an actual harvest to be picked. These contracts frequently pay based on output rather than total hours worked, which means it is very easy for these independent contractors to make less than minimum wage for their work. This can be really hard to police because legitimate small contracting businesses or freelancers don't have the legal right to earn a set amount of money for a set amount of hours worked. A plumber who runs their own small business can easily end up doing hours of work where they earn below minimum wage, so an independent laborer picking fruit can be treated the same way. The economic realities test to make distinctions between these two circumstances is hard and often has to go to the courts, which is obviously very difficult for a lot of these groups.
Yeah, they're not going to be able to
At the end of the day, though, the results are probably not exactly shocking to you. Young Americans are not exactly lining up to do hard labor in the sun for hours a day, all to make below minimum wage. But now, with heightened immigration enforcement...
Let me tell you something, how money works before you get on your high fucking horse. My Twitch chatters are some of the hardest working people in this fucking country. And when they clock in at 7 or even later PM at night to watch Smallville with me and say Poggies, it is 50 times harder than picking strawberries in the hot sun for months on end. Okay? This is the brutality. This is the Marines. These are incredibly talented people. And all of them, I'm sure, would gladly take these jobs.
Farmers are also finding it harder to rely on undocumented workers who have typically been more willing to accept these unfavorable conditions. According to the Economic Policy Institute, these enforcement activities were briefly paused in response to pushback, but are currently still in full swing. Again, no matter where you stand on these issues, you can't exactly argue that the current administration was trying to hide their intentions with these plans.
No, they were pretty clear.
So then, why did this industry vote against its own interests? Well, it probably wasn't as simple as that. Most farmers that are still around today are quite wealthy. In a lot of regions, they are making far more from the appreciating values of their land than they are from the crops that they grow on that land.
That's crazy.
According to a report by the USDA, croplands have increased in value by an average of $270 per acre within the last 12 months.
I saw this like 5 or 6, 7 years ago because Bill Gates bought like the largest amount of farmland any private individual owns, and he did it as an investment. And I remember thinking, well, that's weird. And it's just, he was ahead of the game. Like Bill Gates owns more farm. He's not a fucking farmer in any way. He's just buying the land because it goes up in value.
Months, while the actual top-line revenue from that same acre only averaged out to $205 an acre before any costs or expenses. This has slowly changed.
Someone said it's not true. I just looked it up. It is true. Bill Gates, through his farmland company Cascade Investments owns over 269,000 acres by 2021, making him the largest private owner of U.S. farmland.
The industry of farming from a business of making food to a business of land speculation with a side hustle in government food programs. A first-hand account posted by Sarah Tabor explained this from personal experience.
How does it compare to Clancyville? Not to get off topic here, but that's 1/50th of the size that Clancyville owns for his work camps. Okay? So it's not, comparatively, it's very small. Comparatively, it's very small, what Bill Gates is doing, but it's still, Clancyville's obviously the bigger issue.
Personal experience working in the industry and
Farm to
proposing
Tabor.
policy. If you haven't already seen it, I will leave a link to it below, because she obviously has more personal experience with the issues. But in brief, certain policies like tax cuts and increased benefits were more attractive to these business owners than the fear of genuine economic repercussions. The big beautiful bill actually significantly increased government spending on farming assistance over the next 10 years by $56 billion, which will mostly go towards boosting government reference prices and insurance assistance. The current problem is that those new rules don't officially start until next year, while farmers are dealing with the immediate problems right now. This is why so many in the industry are asking for short-term support, because if they can survive to next year...
This is fucking crazy. So our increasingly consolidated farmland has become mainly a land speculation vehicle, where you kind of farm as a side thing with government bailouts while you wait for your land value to go up. You're not even really farming. And the reason you benefit from this administration is because they will increase the bailouts and then reduce the taxes when you sell the land for millions. And that's what you want more than you care about the day-to-day realities of the farming. That is fucking awesome.
Things should get a lot more financially rewarding. Another component of recent tax changes that were particularly appealing to farmers were new capital gains tax brackets and deferrals on the sale of farmland, which could all significantly reduce how much they owed if they sold off their rapidly appreciating land. Now, I really don't want to get conspiratorial here, so you should know that this next part might just be a happy little accident. However, these new tax policies also pair really well with the emerging fintech platforms like AcreTrader, Farm Together, and Farmfolio, which let farmers sell portions of their land to outside investors who themselves can build up a diversified portfolio of different agricultural production. These platforms have raised a lot of money from people who themselves are also large investors in farmland as a financial asset, and also people who have a significant influence in shaping these policies. How much they actually use that power for their own self-interest is up to you to decide. But it gets worse. According to the Government Accountability Office, just 7% of farmers received 63% of all the financial assistance between 2019 and...
That's fucking crazy. That's crazy. That feels very corrupt. That feels very inside baseball. Somebody knows somebody.
2023. Increased assistance and consolidation will only make the statistic even more skewed by disproportionately benefiting larger consolidated farm operations. These larger farms simultaneously have greater financial stability to survive through tough times and benefit more during the good times. If you see news footage covering this farming crisis, you are going to see barns full of small farmers talking about their struggles. But that's not the agricultural industry. That's what the agricultural industry was. Most government programs intended to help out the idealized small family farmer end up helping out big agricultural businesses even more.
I see.
The few actual small family farms that are still holding on are inevitably going to find it hard to compete with these kinds of market dynamics, but their struggles are a really good way to keep those benefits coming. There is an excerpt in the book Catch-22 that has become popular in response to this evolving crisis. His specialty was alfalfa. He made a good thing out of not growing any. The government paid him well for every bushel of alfalfa he did not grow. The more alfalfa he did not grow, the more money the government gave him. And he spent every penny he didn't...
Dude, I can't wait for this to be true for 4.3 billion tons of soybeans next year. Where the government is going to be paying massive soybean factory farms to not grow soybeans because they fucked up the one contract they had with China that they can't sell to anymore. So we're going to bail them out for sitting with empty soy fields. At least we'll have fewer soy boys. Although we were exporting it to China, so weren't we making them more soy? Wouldn't that be a strong thing?
earn on new land to increase the amount of alfalfa he did not produce.
Honestly, wait a minute.
Major's father worked
because in the past, like for example, whenever poop from a butt prices are historical lows, or I guess rat meat or pork or at lows, that's when the McRib comes back. McDonald's doesn't do it like because they feel like it. They do it when the price is right to put it in the store. And so we're going to have an absolute glut of soy. We're going to have soybeans like fucking crazy that are going to get dumped on the American market for nothing. So we're going to have so much fucking soy. Everyone's going to be soy pointing. You're just going to see it. It's like whenever chocolate prices rose and all the candy companies stopped talking about chocolate. I started doing all the new sour candies. Like we're going to see a weird inclusion of soy-based things in a lot of foods after this soy glut hits the market.
Rest in not growing alfalfa. Major's father was an outspoken champion of economy and government, provided it did not interfere with the sacred duty of government to pay farmers as much as they could get for all the alfalfa they produced. Now, this book was originally published in 1961 and is about the events of the Second World War, but you can probably see the relevance it has today. Now, these perverse incentives may be bad, but it gets worse. An industry-wide crisis like this just becomes a buying opportunity for investors with spare capital. A lot of genuine family farmers are seeing the ideal tax policies as a convenient time to hang up the hat and get out while they can. And then by the time support comes through to fix the industry, the biggest operators are the ones that will receive the support. According to census data, there are already 10% fewer farms than there were just 5 years ago when we were facing a similar crisis. If the farmers themselves are to be believed, there is a good chance that there will be even fewer in another 5 years from now. Larger, more institutional farms can also afford to spend more on lobbying, which is why they have slowly become one of the best funded voices in Washington. Oh, and there is one—
This is the fucking problem, bro. My industry doesn't have enough lobbying. We need streamers to band together and put some money in to lobby. If Dan Clancy can be our guy in front of Congress, then we can finally turn this shit around. Matt Pat. We need Matt Pat to get out there and start lobbying.
They have slowly become one of the best funded voices in Washington. Oh, and there is one other big benefit these institutional farmers have. They don't really care how much money their farmland actually makes. Go and watch this video next to find out what's really behind farms becoming the hottest new alternative asset class.
I love alternative asset classes. Now, the one thing is missing is that we need to somehow make this part of every American's 401k. Then the cycle will be truly complete. Once we've made a huge systemic problem, then put it all into one or two duopolies, then we can bail it out on the public. That'll be great. Then once we all own a piece of it, so when it actually does fail, we all pay instead of just them. That would be perfect. That would be awesome.